Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is the first of perhaps many Lotus King demonstration sessions. So we'll start off with the Lotus pose. You can also alternate the leg. And then we'll upgrade to the scale. Right on the side of Kipid. My hands are bad. And then we can, of course, roll to the cobra. I guess if there is a point in life, it is to move. And movement is a skill, whether you think of it as stretching, yoga, calisthenics. It is a skill that can be mastered and trained upon. And same lies in flexibility, strength, stamina. I wanted to start off with this flexibility / movement demonstration because I find that the Lotus pose is quite profound in so many ways. One, it cuts off the circulation to the legs and allows you to focus on your torso, your breath, your heart, and your head. And so many journeys can be had with the mind. That can be quite profound. And your body can go anywhere on Earth and possibly live, as have the Eskimos or the desert nomads demonstrated time and time again. Our will to survive is quite strong. It is our mind that usually gives up. And if I had to start a YouTube channel, I would start it about the mind. And this Lotus pose demonstration is the Eastern version of the focusing of the mind first. Meditation and mindfulness practices have become buzzwords in Western culture and corporate boardrooms, but in Eastern traditions, these are simply ways of life. Breathing. Of the skill of breathing, I believe the free divers do it best. The ones who can swim on a single breath out in the open ocean. They have this ability to train the dolphin reflex. And the idea is when you are submerged in water, your only refuge is yourself, to find ways to prolong the breath, strengthening the individual cells and how much oxygen they require to function, but also on the amount of lungs and oxygen your lungs can hold, so with the pressure from within as well as the pressure from without in terms of the external pressure of the water as you go deeper and deeper into the ocean. I've had the privilege of going 25 foot deep in the open ocean, and it took me months to train, but it was such a very profound experience in terms of our will to live and experience the great abyss of the open ocean in terms of water as far as every direction can see, and just how vast the cosmos are. So I wanted to go back to that breathing technique and say, in through the nose, use the esophagus muscle. You can also try the exhale, which is the sort of vacuuming or complete exhalation. So if that was positive packing, this would be negative packing. And thus we have stretched our lungs from the positive to the negative direction. The other techniques you can possibly try are hyperventilating. To withholding. Deep breath in. The inner breath and the lungs that train with it, we've demonstrated 3-4 different breathing techniques. So, building upon our foundation of the lotus, we traveled upwards to the lungs, and we also want to mention the spine movement. Although the arms can be quite flashy and useful, they are not the source of the majority of the muscles and blood veins and sinew. It is our spine. And if we are building upon the strong foundation of the lotus, we want our spine, or the chakras in the Eastern tradition, or the vertebrae in the Western tradition, to all have their individual functionality on the up and down. Thus, we want to be able to not only turn the spine, but bending it forward, as well as bending it backward. Because we are attempting to maintain our lotus, as you'll feel a lot more tension in your hips. You try to convert to the lotus cobra over the regular cobra. the difficulty level can be quite strong here. But one step at a time, as with everything else. The last is the head. If I was to say what I want this channel to be most about, as I mentioned earlier, is the mind, but just by having demonstrated the capacity to perform these movements, you can already guarantee that the person who's able to do this will have higher blood flow to the mind, and they'll be able to harness that blood flow and better oxygenation level for higher intellect level and a sharper intellect level. In a world where our presidential candidates who are going senile boast about their intelligence, I find it quite ludicrous that the ability to articulate a well-sequenced and grammatically correct structured sentence is lost on most of the population. But if I was to describe the languages or the skills that scripture most recommends for the mind, language and the ability to form and interpret words would be number 6. I want this channel to be about all 7, and if the first is the breath, the second is the movement, third is the plants that we have, as well as fourth would be the animals, or fourth would be the ability to fast actually, fifth would be animals, sixth would be language, and 7 would be logic. And that is what I really want this YouTube channel to be about. The ability to me, as a data scientist, to talk to you, the internet, and say these 7 skills have profound impact as you understand them, in not only shaping how you view the world, but how you shape the world around you in the years to come. Are you a force for good, or are you a force for ignorance in the majority of the cases? And in some cases, there are forces of darkness that inhabit this world. And I just want to stand up and say, become protectors of your community and be a force for good. As you learn these skills and as you are able to champion in your community the merits of these skills for the good of all. Thank you for joining me this Monday morning and for giving me your time. Like and subscribe, hopefully, and I'll see you soon.